just keep right on rolling into the monthly proficiency demos. Monthly proficiency demos. Why do we call them that? Well, everybody kept referring to it as a monthly test. You're actually not testing anything because we know that stuff works. What we're doing is finding out if you can make it work. Why would you have to do that? I won't name any names, but there was some people I was talking to about 2 months ago where they were back in their monthly proficiency demos. And I said, well, you need new digital certificates to make this work. So I sent them to their vendor, and the vendor came back and said, why are you sending these to me? Because they haven't been our customer for 5 months. Something was wrong locally. They no longer had a contract with their learning software provider, which is kind of something you need to know about. That's one of the very basic reasons why we ask that you get in there and use your alert origination software at least once a month. It's nice to know that you can log into it, that it's there. And it's nice to know that you can formulate an alert and produce the alert that's the public-facing message using our IPAWS test demo environment. It's using the sandbox environment, so it's not actually going out, but composing a message that will appear correctly to the public. I once had a sheriff say, well, I bought this your software and I know it works and you know your system works. Why do I have to do that? And I know there are problems with this analogy, but I said, sir, do you expect Glock to pass your handgun proficiency? There's a long pause at the other end. I said, if you send people the wrong way in a disaster, it can cause loss of life. Well, I kind of see what you mean there, but I know it's not a real solid analogy, but at least it got his attention, and now they're practicing once a month. What we do is we check. At the end of each month, we'll go back and check and see if we've heard from you in the previous month. To give you some idea of where we were in August, I haven't done September yet. We're still sitting in it. In August, we're up to 78.2% of the alerting authorities, IPAWS alerting authorities sent a message in August. Well, ones that had missed 1 month were 6%, 104. Ones that missed 2 months were 52, that's 3%. And the folks that are in the doghouse is 11.7%. That's not good. There's 365 of you out there. Odds are they're not the ones that are listening to this call because we may not be in touch with them. This is a little bit like preaching to the choir here, but if you know your buddies in the next county over, you might want to give them a call and say, "Hey, you got done that IPAWS testing? They're asking you to do it once a month." I know I said testing, but it's a real good idea to log in there and send a test, send a message, and just prove to yourself that you can do it. It's better to have muscle memory of how these things work than have to figure it out on a dark sky day. And Jen, would you please take it from there?
There we go. Okay, starting out. So we came up with this idea. Literally, we started on a whiteboard. And the thoughts behind adding scenarios to the monthly proficiency demonstrations came about by often hearing from, just what Al was saying, from alert originators, MPDs, ugh. Let me get it over with. This is on my routine checklist, got to do it, and then I can shelve it for another month, which you can still do.
MPD would be a monthly proficiency demonstration.
Oh, and I apologize. I thought I said that already. Thank you.
Yes, you had, but I'm just going back.
I like that.
Back popping in like Al from Tim the Tool Time Tailor. But
I like that. All right. So how can we make it a bit, dare we say, fun? Well, how about at least more exciting and interactive tasks? We came up with a scenario-based monthly proficiency demonstrations. They are short, 10 to 12 minute scenario-based tabletop exercises, for lack of a better word, mini exercises, for alerting authorities to work from when sending their required IPAWS MPD, monthly proficiency demonstration. The purpose is to facilitate collaboration among participants and trigger critical thinking and decision-making, reducing that feeling of being routine. You can use them however best suits your organizations. If you want to do it independently, you can go to our website and use the interim selection tool to choose the event type and the scenario. Then following the scenario are a few questions that can be used to facilitate discussion. Also, though, if you want, IPAWS T&E team members are also ready to assist in developing flexible, scalable, and adaptable exercises that can be customized to your organization's needs. And we're going to show you a little bit about one we used last year. Ultimately, what they do is they allow the alerting authorities to fulfill a requirement while simultaneously teaching, training, and learning. The benefits. Benefits here are listed. You can read those, but also successfully deliver a test message to the TSSF, kind of what Al was talking about. The message could be of a type that the alerting authority feels they need to practice. And then the exercise would be a relaxed introduction to a locale specific instant exercise. All right, so what you see on the screen right now is this is an example of our scenario that we did with a San Fernando, California. They were willing to let us kind of test it out on them, see what they thought, if they got anything out of it. This was a little over a year ago, but it was really successful. And their incident involved an evacuation order during a significant gas leak following an earthquake. We followed up with a set of questions for discussion, and they had the opportunity to craft and send a message in the demo environment to the TSSF, and that fulfilled their monthly proficiency demonstration. So also we'll be incorporating, as you heard earlier, and we are really, really excited about this here at the TSS, the message design dashboard into our exercises. So that will also be a tool that we are going to be utilizing more of and incorporating that into the exercises. So the questions involved with our scenarios vary, but are intended, again, to facilitate collaboration among participants and trigger those critical thinking and decision-making things. They also make sure that you have policies and procedures in play, and then can also work on developing templates for incidents. And I think Jordan is going to, or maybe he already has, put in the link to our website that has the scenario-based monthly proficiency demonstration tool on it. So you can take a look at it. As I said earlier, it is interim. We're actually updating it to make it look a little sleeker and easier, user-friendly. So we should have that out in the next couple of months latest.
So, questions?
I'm going to pass it over to Matt for questions. 1 second. And Mark says, please note that IPAWS runs on different service than WebEx.
That's fair.
All right. Thanks, Justin. We do have a question from Kevin. What if your vendor product has internal training? Can that be used instead of the scenario?
They have their own internal training.
Yeah, the vendor does.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can practice as many times a month as you want. So as long as you're doing it, this is just an opportunity to make it a little bit more fun and just not, that was the idea behind it. So it's not so routine and boring. It's just a task. I mean, the importance of this is then they can utilize any of these exercises. If they want to use it with the vendor, that's fine too. Basically, it's just to get it done. And then this was a tool to make it a little bit more interesting. San Fernando, they do I believe it was a drill every month or a training exercise. And they were actually going to use this scenario in their next monthly one because they wanted to include some of their partners, law enforcement and fire department in their exercises. So they liked it. They can use it like that as well. And again, you get to pick what you want to do.
I did want to jump back really quick because someone did have a question about the mobile app demo. Al asked, and not you, Al, a different Al, what information do you need from the state to request a mobile app demo account?
Oh, that is a great question. And I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. There are 5 elements, and you send this to the FEMA-IPAWS-lab@fema.dhs.gov, and we can probably get that put in the chat, as well as these the answers to this. So we'll need the requester's name, the agency name, the COG ID, the agency email address, and note that this email address is the one that will be used as your username, and then the device that you will use to download the application. So it really is a critical component to know whether you're going to use an Apple or Android device, because they have different step-by-step instructions depending on which one. And we've got a beautiful demonstration here of which phone you would be able to use. So that is a critical component for us to give you the right tools and the right downloads or uploads in order to make the application work, as well as the steps. So great question. Hopefully we'll get those all put in the chat. Actually, I'll give them over to I'm telling you, we've got a great team here. We've got Jordan Parker over here getting all of our links and information into the chat for us. So it definitely does take a team to pull this off.
I'll ask one more question, then we'll head to our next presenter. And we're going to jump back to monthly proficiency demos. Do we still use the monthly proficiency demonstration text that is required by the IPAWS program office?
Actually, for the monthly proficiency demos, that was suggested message text. It's not an absolutely required text. You can put anything in there as long as you still indicate that it's a test message. If you're using it in conjunction with a scenario, you can start out saying, this is a test exercise only, and proceed with the message that you would, that matches the scenario. You can use any event code for a proficiency demo. We've had some people say, well, I tried to use required monthly test. No, required monthly test is an EAS function. It's the monthly in there stands for what broadcast and cable operators have to do. It doesn't have anything to do with what alerting authorities need to do. So it's best to leave that one alone. If it happens to leak out into the live side, you're going to get a whole bunch of people mad at you because they have to forward it within 59 minutes of receiving it. So don't use the required monthly test unless you're doing something that's coordinated with your local broadcasters and cable operators. But otherwise, use any event code that you're authorized for. That's why it works very well with these scenarios.
Definitely.
You know, we did miss one polling question. I think, Matt, would we be able to close out with our last polling question if it's still available? And it was the, how do you see alerting capabilities evolving over the next 5, 10, 20 years, to leave folks with that as we close out before the next session?
Sure. Why don't we actually use the chat function and have everyone do that, and then we can share the chat with you guys. So can you repeat the question again for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're curious to hear, you know, what your thoughts are. You know that as practitioners, you're probably brewing and stewing all the time of how to make improvements, things that you might like to see us doing, or the program and how it could be enhanced. So just curious, if you could drop in the chat, how do you see alerting capabilities evolving over the next 5, 10, or even 20 years? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate the time today.